Today I will teach you blood group compatibility testing and blood components. So going to my first slide, what is blood group system? Red cell antigens that are produced by alleles. What are alleles? They are alternative forms of a specified gene at a single gene locus or very closely linked loci. This constitutes a blood group system. So according to ISBT is the International Society of Blood Transfusion Working Party. There are 25 blood group systems according to the red cell antigens. So here is the chart of 25 blood group systems. You can take pictures whenever you like. So then the most common and important ones are ABO and RH. So this is because AB and RHD, these antigens are most immunogenic. Now what do we mean by immunogenic? Immunogenic means capable of eliciting a strong antibody response on stimulation, and their alloantibodies can cause destruction of transfused red cells or cause hemolytic disease of newborn. All of you have heard of hemolytic disease of newborn, which occurs in Rh negative mothers. So we'll come to that later. So in ABO system, there are 4 main blood groups: A, B, AB, and O. So identification of these 4 blood groups is based on presence or absence of A and or B antigens on the red cells. So what is Landsteiner's law? This is very important. You should know this. So anti-A and or anti-B antibodies are always present in plasma of individuals who lack the corresponding antigens on their red cells. So ABO is the only blood group system in which if an antigen is absent in any individual, then the corresponding antibody is always present on plasma. So this is Landsteiner's law in brief, that if antigen is present, that means antibody is absent. If antigen is absent, that means antigen is present. And this is applicable only to the ABO system. So this is a chart. You should know this, that if a patient has blood group A, that means the RBC antigen is A, but the corresponding plasma antibody is anti-B. Similarly, for blood group B, the antigen present on RBC is B and the corresponding plasma antibody is anti-A. And in case of AB, both A and B antigens are present on RBC, but the plasma antibody is absent. And in case of patients with O blood group, there is no antibody present on RBC, but in plasma, both anti-A and anti-B antibodies are present. Generally, O blood group is the most common, whereas AB blood group is the least common. Antigens of ABO systems are A. A is divided into A1 and A2, B and H. They are glycolipids, glycoproteins or glycosphingolipids. In addition to RBCs, these antigens are also present on white cells, platelets and body tissues. They are also present in soluble forms in various body secretions in secretors. Now, what are secretors? Secretors are persons who secrete A, B and H antigens into body fluids. What are the body fluids? The body fluids are plasma, gastric juice, saliva, sweat, tears, semen, milk, etc. Now this ability of secretors is due to presence of a dominant secretor gene which is present on chromosome 19. 80% of individuals are secretors. Both secretors and non-secretors, they express ABO antigens on the red cells. Antigens secreted by various ABO groups are, in case of group A, the antigens secreted are A and H. In case of group B persons, B and H. In case of persons with AB blood group, the antigens secreted are A, B and H. And in case of persons with group O, only H is secreted. Antigens secreted into body fluids are known as ABH substances. Now coming to blood group A, these antigens present on the red cells are A and H. The plasma contains the opposite antibody, that is anti-B antibodies, and it is IgM, immunoglobulin M in nature. Blood group A is divided into two types, A1 and A2. So A1 is present in 80% of persons who have blood group O, and 20% of persons who have blood group A, they have A2. Now A1 and A2 red cells can be differentiated by lectins. What are lectins? Lectins are plant-derived seed extracted proteins, and it is used in blood banking as specific cost-effective reagents to agglutinate the RBC. That means the lectins are derived from plants. So in case of differentiating the A1 and A2 RBCs, we use the lectin derived from a legume which is called Dolichos biflorus. This is very important, that how do we differentiate between A1 and A2. Now what is the application of the lectins? The key applications of lectins include subtyping A and B blood groups, identifying rare Bombay phenotype, and testing for polyagglutination. Blood group B, the patients or persons who have blood group B, they have B and H antigens on the RBC surface. Their plasma contains anti-A antibodies, which is IgM in nature. Persons who have blood group O, they have large amounts of H antigen on their surface. These antibodies are immunoglobulin G type in nature, and immunoglobulin G can therefore cross the placenta. This is very important in case of Rh negative individuals, which will come to it later. Persons who have blood group AB. Now this is the least common blood group, and the antigens present on RBCs are A, B and small amounts of H antigen. This blood group AB is again subdivided into A1B and A2B. The plasma of these individuals do not contain any antibodies. You have heard of Rh system. After ABO, Rh is very common blood group system. When rhesus monkey red cells were injected into rabbits and guinea pigs by Landsteiner and Weiner in 1940, the antibody which was found, it was found to react with the rhesus monkey RBCs, as with 85% of human residents. At that time, it was tested on residents of New York City. And the antigen which was found, it was called Rh factor. Rh system consists of 40 antigens, and it is very complex. So the important antigens of the Rh system are C, D, E in capital, and in small letters C and E. As you can note that antigen with small letter D does not exist at all. So capital D antigen, it is the most immunogenic. The Rh system is important due to immunogenicity of of RhD antigen, which induces the formation of anti-D antibodies in 50 to 70% of Rhd negative individuals. So, anti-D antibodies can cause hemolytic transfusion reaction, and in case of Rh negative patients, it can induce hemolytic disease of newborn. Most Rh antibodies are of immune type. That means they are the result of immunization followed by blood transfusion and pregnancy. And this Rhd antigen is IgG in nature. Rh antibodies can cause hemolytic transfusion reaction or hemolytic disease of newborn. During pregnancy, the IgG, as I said earlier, it crosses the placenta and induces hemolytic disease of newborn by causing immune hemolysis of the fetal RBCs. This is a very important question in the exam. Now, Rh hemolytic disease of newborn. So, how can we prevent it? It can be prevented by prophylactic administration of intravenous Rh immunoglobulin to all the Rh negative mothers during mid-pregnancy as well as after within 72 hours of delivery. Now, how do we do ABO blood grouping? This is important for your practical as well. So, ABO blood grouping is done by two methods. One is commonly called forward grouping or cell grouping, and the other method is reverse grouping or serum grouping. So how do we do the cell grouping? Now in this case, in case of forward grouping, the RBC are tested for presence of A and B antigens using known specific anti-A and anti-B sera. So in forward grouping, we are using known sera, anti-A and anti-B. Whereas in case of reverse grouping, that means it is the opposite. So what do we use here? The serum is tested for presence of anti-A and anti-B antibodies by using known. But what is known here? It is group A and group B reagent RBCs. So you note that in case of forward grouping, we are using known sera, known anti-sera, whereas in reverse grouping, what are we using? The known component is reagent group A and B reagent RBC. So usually both the types should be done because it is a checking that whether the blood group obtained is correct. So there are three methods of blood grouping, and today we'll discuss only two. The important ones are tube method, slide method, and microplate method. So what is the slide test? This is done commonly in the laboratory. So the principle is you have to do it in your practical exams as well. So you should know the principle. Red cells from the specimen, that means the patient's blood, they are reacted with reagent anti-sera, that means known anti-sera, anti-A and anti-B. Now agglutination of RBCs indicate presence of corresponding antigen on red cells. How it is done? So what is the sample that we take? We take capillary blood from finger prick or venous blood in EDTA anticoagulant, and the reagent used is ABO anti-sera. Now anti-A anti-sera and anti-B anti-sera, as you can see, anti-A is blue colored small bottle, whereas anti-B anti-sera is yellow color small bottle. So, and in forward grouping, the nature of antibody used is anti-A and anti-B anti-sera. So how it is done? First a slide is taken. A slide is taken and the slide is divided in the middle. One end it is marked anti-A and the other side it is marked anti-B. So first we are putting 1 drop of anti-A, anti-sera, where we have written anti-A, and in the other portion where we have written anti-B, anti-sera is put 1 drop in the center. After that, blood sample 1 drop is put on each of the anti-sera and it is mixed. So how it is mixed? Either we take a small stick or we use the corner of the slide, but we should not mix up. So corner of the slide should be different for anti-A anti-sera and anti-B anti-sera and blood sample mixing. We should not mix both the samples. So after about 2 minutes, we can see whether agglutination has occurred or not. If agglutination occurred, that means it is positive. And what do we see? We see tiny clumps of RBCs are floating. Here is the picture, what we can see. Suppose the blood group is A and anti-A, anti-sera is there, anti-B, anti-sera is there. So we will find agglutination occurring in case of blood group A. That means antigen is A and anti-A antibody is present in the serum. So similarly we can see in case of blood group A, agglutination has occurred with anti-B, anti-sera. In case of blood group AB, agglutination has occurred in both, and in case of blood group O, there is no agglutination. Here is a chart of interpretation of the forward grouping. As I have explained earlier, in case of for all the blood groups where the agglutination has occurred. Coming to the tube method. So if in the exam it is asked, so of the slide method and tube method, which is the most important and reliable, you will answer that the tube method is the most reliable method of the two. It takes a longer time and more equipment. Now in cell grouping or the tube method or the reverse grouping, what is done? The patient's saline washed RBC, it is mixed with known anti-sera in a tube and the mixture is incubated at room temperature and centrifuged. And for serum grouping, the patient's serum is mixed with reagent RBC of known blood group. It is incubated at room temperature and also centrifuged. Now following centrifugation, we will find a small red cell sediment at the bottom of the tube. Now if it is positive, we will find that clumps of RBCs are suspended in the fluid. And in case of negative test, there will be uniform suspension of RBCs. Here is a chart of interpretation of forward grouping and reverse grouping. As we can see, in case of all the blood groups where the agglutination has occurred and the interpretation. So positive is agglutination of RBC and negative means there is no agglutination of the RBCs. Here is how we grade the tube test, ABO tube test. As you can see, there are 4 grades and negative. Here we can see in case of negative interpretation, there is uniform suspension of the RBCs. In grade 1, small clumps of RBC. That means it is having a fine granular appearance. In case of grade 2, larger clumps than grade 1. In case of grade 3, 3 or 4 individual clumps, and in grade 4 we can see one solid clump of RBC and there is no free red cells. In RHD grouping, the patient's blood sample is mixed with anti-D reagent. And anti-D develops in Rh negative individuals, as we see in case of Rh negative mothers. If the baby she is carrying is Rh positive, then only following exposure to Rh positive RBCs, then only anti-D develops in Rh negative individuals. When the recipients ABO and RH blood groups are determined, the donor unit that is compatible, means it should be both ABO and RH compatible, and compatibility test is carried out for that purpose. Now, what is the purpose of compatibility test? It is to prevent the transfusion of incompatible RBCs. That means we should not transfuse incompatible blood to any person, because that will cause hemolytic transfusion reaction in the patient. So the compatibility detects major ABO blood grouping error and most clinically significant antibodies reactive against the donor cells. So how many types of cross match are there? There are two types. One is the major cross match and one is the minor cross match. So in case of major cross match, we are testing the recipient's serum and donor red cells. And in case of minor cross match, we are testing donor serum against recipients, that means the patient to whom which we are transfusing blood, against that recipient's red cells. And nowadays, we don't use the term cross matching, we use the term compatibility testing. So for transfusion of patients of platelet or FFP, that is fresh frozen plasma, cross-matching is not done. But the fresh frozen plasma, it should be ABO compatible. A full cross-matching procedure consists of immediate spin match at room temperature and indirect antiglobulin test at 37 degrees centigrade. So antiglobulin test or the Coombs test. Now it is a very important test. It is of two types, direct and indirect. Now the direct one and is used for mainly diagnosis of hemolytic anemia, immune hemolytic anemia, hemolytic transfusion reaction, hemolytic disease of newborn, autoimmune hemolytic anemia, and drug-induced hemolytic anemia. And the indirect one, in this case, it is important for cross-matching as well as antibody detection and identification. So the direct antiglobulin test or the direct Coombs test, today in this lecture we don't need it much. Because it is used mostly in case of diagnosis of acquired immune hemolytic anemia. So we are coming to indirect antiglobulin test. So this detects the presence of antibodies in the serum. So Coombs test two types, direct and indirect. So in case of blood compatibility testing, we will need the indirect one, indirect Coombs test. So in this test, the patient's serum is incubated with red cells to allow binding of antibodies in serum to the red cell antigens. After washing of red cells in saline to remove the unbound antibodies, the anti-human globulin reagent, it is called the Coombs reagent, anti-human globulin reagent, it is added, and agglutination of red cells denotes a positive test. So the application of indirect antibody test, that is indirect Coombs test, is in cross-matching or compatibility testing before blood transfusion to detect antibodies that may have been missed by antibody screening test, since the corresponding antigen was lacking on screening cells. This test detects immunoglobulin G antibodies bound to donor cells. Now, what are the other applications of indirect antiglobulin test? The second one is antibody screening and identification. Phenotyping of RBCs using a known antisera and titration of anti-Rh antibodies. So this is the principle of indirect indirect antiglobulin test, where we can see the IgG antibodies in the serum. They are binding to the RBCs, and the red cells are getting coated with the antibodies. Now, on addition of anti-IgG antibodies or the Coombs reagent, there is agglutination. So this is the principle of indirect antiglobulin test. Immediate spin cross match. The purpose of this test is to detect ABO incompatibility. Now, equal volumes of 2% saline suspension of RBC of donor and recipient, minded equal volumes, 2% saline suspension of RBC from donor as well as the recipient, that means the person to whom blood will be transfused. It is mixed, incubated at room temperature for 5 minutes and centrifuged. So, how do we detect compatibility? If there is agglutination or hemolysis, indicates incompatibility. If there is agglutination or hemolysis, that means there is incompatibility. So this is a schematic diagram of the spin cross match, the recipient's serum and the saline suspension of donor RBC incubated and centrifuged. So this is compatible and there has been agglutination. This is incompatible cross match, and if it is incompatible, we will not transfuse the blood to the patient. Now, in case of emergency, what do? We do immediately ABO and RH grouping carried by the slide test, because the tube test takes a longer time. So first we'll do the ABO and RH grouping by the slide method and the immediate spin cross match. If the blood is compatible, then we will do the later stages of the cross match. Now coming to blood components. This is very important. We all know that blood has many components, and how do we get those components and what are their uses? So blood component, how do we obtain the blood component? We obtain the blood component by a procedure called apheresis. The procedure is called apheresis. A constituent separated from whole blood. This is important. Differential centrifugation. It is called differential centrifugation, or that is obtained directly from donor by apheresis. So 1 unit of whole blood, it can be broken down into 1 unit of packed red cells, 1 unit of platelets, and 1 unit of fresh frozen plasma or cryoprecipitate. So this is a schematic diagram. Here we can see that whole blood, by light spin technique, it is separated into packed red cells and platelet-rich plasma. So the packed red cells can also be separated into leukocyte-poor RBCs, washed RBCs, frozen RBCs, and irradiated RBCs. And the platelet-rich plasma after heavy spinning. So note that here it is light spinning and here it is heavy spinning. So after heavy spinning, it can be separated into platelet concentrate and plasma. And from plasma, we obtain fresh frozen plasma and cryoprecipitate. So blood components are prepared from a unit of whole blood, but remember, it should be within 6 hours of collection. So the light centrifugation separates RBC from platelet and plasma, and heavy centrifugation of plasma separates platelets and plasma. This is a schematic diagram showing the principle of preparation of blood components from 1 unit of whole blood. See, here there is collection of 1 unit of whole blood, and this is further separated into packed RBCs, platelets and plasma. and here are the satellite bags in which the separated components are transferred. Now, blood components can be cellular components as well as plasma components. Cellular component means there will be cells. So, what are the types? It will be red cells, platelets as well as granulocytes. So, coming to the red cell components. The first one is the packed red cells. The packed red cells are prepared by removing most of the plasma and 1 unit of whole blood. So whole blood is either allowed to sediment overnight in a refrigerator at 2 to 6 degrees centigrade, or it is spun in a refrigerated centrifuge. Packed red cells have a high viscosity and therefore the rate of infusion is slow. And transfusion of 1 unit of RBC increases hemoglobin by 1 gram%. You should remember that 1 unit of packed red cells increases hemoglobin by 1 gram%. So what are the indications? You should know the indications of each of the components. So the indication of packed red cell transfusion is anemia and acute blood loss. Anemia means chronic severe anemia, anemia with congestive cardiac failure, anemia in the elderly people, as well as acute blood loss. The next component is RBC in additive solutions. So, or there is a formation of red cell suspension. So, these are red cells with minimal residual plasma and an additive solution that is called SAG-M. SAG-M means it is comprising of saline, adenine, glucose and mannitol. So what is the advantage of adding SAG-M? SAG-M is an additive. It increases the shelf life. Shelf life means the duration of preservation increases from 35 days to 42 days. So after collection of whole blood in the primary collection bag containing CPDA, that is citrate, phosphate, dextrose and adenine. So the maximum amount of plasma is removed after centrifugation and it is transferred to a satellite bag. The additive solution from the second satellite bag is transferred into the primary collection bag in a closed system. The third component is leukocyte poor red cells. That means the leukocyte poor means there is deficiency in leukocyte. So leukocyte poor red cells contains less than 5 into 10 to the power of 6 WBCs per bag. So what are the methods of leukocyte depletion? Means how can we reduce the number of leukocytes? It is done by leukocyte reduction filter and removal of buffy coat. Now indications of leukocyte poor RBCs are prevention of HLA immunization in patients who are likely to receive allogenic bone marrow transplantation. Second is prevention of febrile non-hemolytic transfusion in persons receiving multiple transfusions. And the third indication is prevention of transmission of cytomegalovirus. Now the fourth component is washed red cells. Now the washed red cells means RBCs are washed in normal saline to remove the plasma proteins, WBCs and platelets. These are used for IgA deficient individuals who have developed anti-IgA antibodies, as well as exposure will lead to anaphylaxis. Frozen red cells. If a cryoprotective agent such as glycerol is used, the red cells can be stored frozen up to 10 years. This is used for storage of donor RBCs, which the patients may have rare blood groups. In that case, we need to have frozen RBCs for future autologous transfusions and for individuals who have repeated febrile non-hemolytic transfusion reaction. Now coming to irradiated red cells. Irradiated means gamma irradiation of red cells. It inactivates the lymphocytes and prevents graft versus host disease. So irradiated RBCs, they have three indications. One is intrauterine or premature neonate transfusion in individuals with immunodeficiency and in those receiving blood from first degree relatives. Coming to platelets. The platelet concentrates are obtained from single donor units or by platelet pheresis. Platelet concentrate, 1 unit of whole blood is centrifuged to obtain platelet-rich plasma. Now the platelet-rich plasma is transferred to a satellite bag and it is spun at high speed to get the platelets at the bottom and the supernatant plasma. Most of the supernatant is returned back to the primary collection bag or to another satellite bag, and 50 to 60 ml of plasma is remained with the platelets. Platelets are stored at 20 to 24 degrees centigrade in a storage device called platelet agitator, and the maximum period of storage is 5 days. And 1 unit of platelet concentrate contains more than 45 into 10 to the power of 9 platelets. Now, the usual adult dose is 4 to 6 units of platelet concentrate, and it will raise the platelet count. If we transfuse platelets, the platelet count will increase by 20,000 to 40,000. Platelet pheresis. You have heard of single donor platelets. Now in platelet pheresis, what happens is a donor is connected to a blood cell separator machine in which the whole blood is collected in an anticoagulant solution, and the platelets are separated and again returned back to the donor. Now with this method we can obtain a large number of platelets, and this is specially suitable in case of HLA matched platelets are required. When HLA compatible platelets are required, at that time we use the technique of platelet pheresis. Now, indications and contraindications to platelet transfusion. So, when can we transfuse the platelets? The indications are bleeding due to decreased platelet production, bleeding in hereditary diseases of platelet function, and massive blood transfusion. And there are two contraindications. One is TTP, thrombotic thrombocytopenic purpura, and hemolytic uremic syndrome. Now coming to the last component, that is the plasma component. The plasma component are of two kinds, fresh frozen plasma and cryoprecipitate. Now fresh frozen plasma is obtained from whole blood within 6 hours of collection, and because after the 6 hours the coagulation factors will be lost. It is separated from whole blood by centrifugation and rapidly frozen at -20 degrees centigrade. And FFP contains all the coagulation factors. FFP can be stored for 1 year if temperature is maintained below -25 degrees centigrade. And since the labile coagulation factors rapidly deteriorate, FFP should be transfused within 2 hours. When we take out FFP from the storage area, we should transfuse it within 2 hours of thawing. Indications of FFP. The indications are multiple coagulation factor deficiencies, that is liver disease, warfarin overdose, massive blood transfusion. The second is disseminated intravascular coagulation. Third is inherited deficiency of a coagulation factor for which no specific replacement therapy is available. And the fourth is thrombotic thrombocytopenic purpura. Cryoprecipitate is prepared from plasma that has been freshly separated by rapidly freezing it at minus 20 degree. The temperature is important, minus 20 degrees centigrade, and white flocculent precipitate and plasma is obtained. And this unit is then refrozen and it can be stored for 1 year. When needed, cryoprecipitate is thawed at 30 to 37 degrees centigrade and transfused to the patient. Now, what does cryoprecipitate contain? It contains factor 8, von Willebrand factor, fibrinogen, factor 12 and fibronectin. And the indications for cryoprecipitate transfusion are factor 8 deficiency, von Willebrand disease, and deficiency of fibrinogen.